danger. Won't surrender, faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. I am, as always, I have not changed. I am Joe Vollano. I am your host and your guiding light through all the nonsense going on in the world today. And a lot of it feels like we're back in the Twilight Zone because it looks like, they're trying to bring back some of the old stuff that Americans hated, like masks. And we're going to get into that because the mask mandate is once again under active consideration. So apparently, ladies and gentlemen, you are not obeying what the almighty government says. So therefore, you will be punished for it. But we're gonna get into that. So as always, the show always works best when you are active and participating. And if you like to call in, 203-679-9610. And if you just want to email, you can straighttalkjv@gmail.com. And if you so do desire just to send us an email. So nice to see everybody here tonight. Sue, thank you for making it. I know you're enjoying your dinner, but there are more important things to be doing. Correct? I'll give her a second to respond there. But again, always feel free to call into the show, 203-679-9610. And we can have some good, lively discussion. But as I was saying when we opened the show, is that obviously people are not paying attention to what the government is saying. So therefore, it looks like the great Mr. Fauci has come back and said that new mask mandates are under active consideration. So what does that mean? That means every time you go into a restaurant again, every time you go out in the public again, you have to wear a mask. Well, they're suggesting that you wear a mask. They haven't made it a mandate yet, but if we go by previous history, I'm sure in the next week or so, the CDC will come out with a mandate saying that everybody must wear a mask, even though the CDC themselves and Fauci himself, through leaked emails, has shown that they really don't do much. But again, it's never been about, their effectiveness. It's been about how is the government going to control you? And they do it by force. And they sit there and this is just one way of how they do that. I believe it's also a test to see how far they could push the American people before they snap and say, no more of this crap. And I got to say, from what I've seen over the last year and a half, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad to me. And I think I made a point of mentioning in this that the American people, a lot of the American people are okay with the government telling them what they can or cannot do, what they can or cannot, where they can and cannot go. So I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime that Americans would be so willing to give up a lot of their freedoms, a lot of their own, I don't want to say self-reliance, but yeah, in some ways, yes, because everybody's so clamming for a check after check after check that it's some scary times. And to think that we're going to go back in time instead of moving forward, trying to getting past this whole COVID nonsense, it tells me why are they doing this? And I think that because I don't think that the numbers really haven't gone up. But I think what's starting to flatline or go down is the vaccine. The vaccine numbers of people getting vaccinated have pretty much diminished. They're nowhere where they want them to be. So how do you get those numbers up? You scare the shit out of people, right? That's normally how you do it. Fear is the number one way of getting control over people. If you make people fear something, they're more willing to give up security or give up their freedoms for the security. And that's what's happening here. And this isn't a Democrat thing. Republicans do it too. George Bush used to do it with terrorism. That's how the Patriot Act came about. People are willing to give up their freedoms for security. And I find issues with that because most of the time, the issues that they're trying to save you from aren't issues at all. So, again, but like I said, for government, it's all about control, especially for Democrats, especially for your hardcore leftists. It's all about control. That's why they want your health care. That's why they want, how much you make at work. They want to control everything. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so Mr. Hanson, the governor of Alabama blamed recent spikes on unvaccinated people. He did. Does it mean he's right? No. Why? Because he has an R next to a name? Listen, you'll be the first one to know. We sit here and blast Republicans also. So I have no problem blasting another Republican who's wrong. If you're wrong on an issue, you're just wrong. Just take it for what it is and move on. Some people will take it personally. Some people won't. Listen, I call them out on how I see it. And if they don't like it, if they're a Republican, then or she, whatever she is, I don't know. I don't follow Alabama politics. And you know what? I'm not going to start now. So, but again, it doesn't make a difference. Whether he, she, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. So they all love the control. Democrats just love it a little bit too much. But there is a lot of other exciting stuff going on in the world today. If no one saw, Jeff Bezos went out to space. See, now I'm a huge space guy. I just love it. I love the technology. I just love the whole idea of going to space. It just fascinates me. And I was always thought that it would be in my lifetime that Normal people will be able to go into space and check it out. But I still think that's going to happen? No, I think only super rich people get to do this. I mean, if you look at, who's building spaceships, I mean, last week, most people don't even know, before Bezos went into space, the owner of Virgin Atlantic, I believe it is. Yeah, I think it was Virgin Atlantic that he went into space. So, I mean, what's his name? I'm going to keep Richard Branson. That's his name. It always escapes me. Richard Branson went into space in his Virgin Atlantic spaceship, and he did a little different. It wasn't a rocket. He went up in a plane, and then I guess it jetted him out. I didn't see the video on it. But, you've seen all these multi-billionaires, and they say there isn't, but I think there really is a space race between all these billionaires to see who could get people up to space first. And I think Bezos did a pretty good job at getting, I believe it was 3 other people. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up. There it is. There they are. So those are the 4 that went up in Jeff Bezos' new rocket, Blue Origin. And again, a lot of people criticize Jeff for doing it because, I heard about, it's climate change and the money should be spent on other things. Listen, they can do what they want with their money. If they're rich enough to sit there and be able to build their own rocket and send it out into space, that is what America is all about, right? Living out your dream. He always wanted to go to space. No, if Musk wanted to go, he would have went a while ago. He could have beat everybody. I think he's more about the science. I don't think he actually wants to go to space. But, I mean, this is just pretty amazing. This is the American dream in full display. And listen, when you make that kind of money, Sue's beating me to it. This was his rocket. And it kind of reminded me, when I first saw it, it reminded me of the Austin Powers. But this was the Blue Origin, and it cracks me up. It really does. But so he took up his brother, which I thought was pretty cool. He's like, where can you go without your brother? So he took his brother, and then he took the oldest living woman to go to space, and she, I guess, was part of the Apollo missions way back. And because she's a woman, she didn't get to fly, but she flew now. And then an 18-year-old went up, and I guess his father was an investor, and he bought his spot. So the youngest and the oldest to ever go into space were on this spaceship together. So I thought that's really friggin' cool to me. And I congratulate them on a job well done. It was only, 10 minutes and 10 seconds? But I tell you what, that's a hell of a 10 minutes and 10 second friggin' ride. I can only dream of actually doing that someday. So, and I hope, I hope I am that rich someday to do it. Or I hope that, these early flights turn into something much better. And again, it builds on that. And next thing you know, you have tourism going into space. I think that would be phenomenal. Just think of the possibilities after that. They want to go back to the moon. We're going to Mars. I don't know. I won't see it in my lifetime, but I think space fascinates me, and the fact that they're uber rich. They're your multi-billionaires are doing this kind of stuff. I think is absolutely phenomenal. It just shows that it can be done. You don't need the government to do it. They did it with their own money. There are private companies that are sending these people that are sending to space. So I think it's phenomenal. And like I said, I think this is America at its best. We could agree to disagree on whether or not Jeff Bezos is a good guy, whether he's killing mom and pop shops. I get all that. But, he's doing this. And again, he's employing a lot of people. He's employing a ton of people. You think building this kind of rocket is cheap? But I did. It's not. But I did like at least the Virgin Atlantic. He did put a tweet out congratulating everybody, which again, I think, is there a space race? They say no. I think there definitely is. And I think his last comment there, watch this space. This is going to be a part of the economy that is going to boom within the next 50 years. Like I said, I don't think I see it in my lifetime, but I think before like Tucker or Joseph, my two boys are too old. I think they'll be able to see it. And I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So why am I so? I put it up there just for you, so because I wanted to make sure that you saw it, and that I want to make sure you get it all in. Space is for the rich. Yeah, it is for the rich right now. But doesn't everything start off as for the rich? Well, think about it. First time first time to fly on a plane, it was for the rich. First time you were on a train, it was for the rich. First time, listen. This is why when people turn around and say, well, you should never have that kind of money. Without that kind of money, no technology is ever created or refined to build on. It takes rich people to invest money to get to where we are. If we didn't have rich people, planes would have never been invented. The modern jet would never be here. Trains with steam engines would never be here. So right now is space for the rich? Yes. That's not how it always, it eventually becomes more profitable and they'll make money on it. How much did Jeff Bezos just spend on getting this rocket into space? I mean, this has been years in the making. Just think of all those jobs that he's created. So again, while we can sit here and complain about Jeff Bezos and what he's doing to the American economy as a whole, which is debatable with small businesses, but I mean, he's still doing some amazing stuff, and he should be praised for it. There's no reason not to. So China will be at the moon before we get there, probably. But I don't think the moon is the answer. I don't know. I would love to sit there and say, hey, we walked on the moon again in my lifetime. Whether we see it or not, it really doesn't. While I enjoy watching it, I don't think it's as important as saying, hey, let's see what's going on in Mars, on another planet. Because I think that's where the future is. And that's something I wish I would be around for. But like I said, I don't think I will be. So, but again, I congratulate these guys. They did a fabulous job. Job well done. 10 minutes and 10 seconds up in space. I think that's pretty freaking cool. And I think this is just the beginning of what's coming for space travel. And I think someday, hopefully, some of us will be able to experience that and get up into space, because I hope to be one of them. But that is all I have to say on that. I mean, like I said, I thought, let me just make sure I have the names right, though, because I think they should be praised. So obviously you had Jeff Bezos, and he had his brother Mark. And then Wally Funk, which is she was 82. She's 82. Crazy. 82, she was able to take that flight. Hell, I'm 43, and I think I'd have a heart attack halfway up. I mean, they were moving pretty fast. I mean, they were going almost 2,800 miles an hour. So I mean, they were moving. So, and then you had Oliver Damon, which is an 18-year-old student. So Ms. Funk became the oldest person to venture into space, and Oliver became the youngest, all on one flight. And that's pretty cool. And I agree with Jeff Bezos. If I was in there, that would be the best day ever for me too. So, again, it all has to start somewhere. Space travel for the average man and woman has to start somewhere. So there it is. That's where it started, and we got to see it live. So like I said, at 82 and she's going, just absolutely amazing to me. I think so. Mike Musk thinks his comment was Musk thinks that it will be a base for deep space travel and refueling. I hope Filler Up is refueling in space. That'd be pretty cool. Linda. Oh God, here comes. I knew as soon as I mentioned an age. He acts like older women aren't capable of doing stuff besides knitting and making soup. Linda. You know I love you, but get back in the kitchen. No, just kidding. Linda. She lives too close. She'll come around and just beat me. So I gotta be careful around Linda. But so that's stuff that's going on in the world. So I think it's pretty cool. But let's talk about other things that are going on. Again, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago because I saw it on the front page of the newspaper. Or was it front or second page? What was one of the pages? Excuse me. But Detective Sergeant John Wagner. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. He was chosen as statewide Officer of the Year by the American Legion. So I just want to make sure that we gave kudos out to Meriden Detective Sergeant John Wagner for receiving this award. It just shows, again, the great work that our men and women in uniform do here in the city on a daily basis. So again, one more time, just want to congratulate him on that since I saw it in the paper. Even though we're ahead of the times, we know this stuff before, and we make sure we give our support and stuff to the police department. But so what else is going on in the city that is super exciting? Again, I'm very excited about the elections coming up, and I'm starting to see Facebook. I'm starting to see Facebook pages pop up, which is pretty cool because I like to read them and I like to keep up to date with what each candidate is doing. So as you see candidate pages show up, just copy and paste the links inside the comment page so everybody can have them. Let's make sure that we share these pages. I know Elaine has hers up. Elaine Cariotti for mayor. Hers is up. I believe I saw Frank Scotto's Area 1 page up today. So if you have not seen them yet, make sure you go on if you're on Facebook, make sure you go on to it, like it, share it. Make sure we get as many people as we possibly can to get to like those pages and to get to know the candidates. Listen, you don't have to agree with the candidates, but you should be at least staying informed on what they're doing. And Mr. Hanson, I know I saw you on earlier. I was like, if you know of any of the Democrat ones that are up and running yet, please, by all means, also paste those in the comment section. I have not seen them yet. So I want to get everybody's up there because, like I said, no matter whether you're a D or an R or a W, everybody needs to make sure that we see where everybody stands on the issues. So next month, the police department will be starting to utilizing the license plate reading system. Good. That's going to knock out a lot of unregistered cars in this city. But Mike's trying to get me off topic here. Come on, Mike. That's so Area 1, for those of you who weren't here on Thursday, Area 1 is Frank Scotto versus Cortez. So that should be an interesting race. I've read a little bit about Mr. Scotto. I don't know too much about Cortez either because she's new. She took over Castro's old spot. And so far, everything that I've heard or seen has made me take a couple minutes of pause because I think she is a far left, but hopefully we'll have her on the show and she can explain where she stands on a lot of the positions. Hopefully we'll have Frank on. I will finally meet Frank sometime next week. So I look forward to that. And then Area 2, which I think is probably the most fascinating one out of all of them, is LaRue Graham, who they begged to run because he already made it perfectly clear to everybody that he wasn't running about 8 months to a year ago, and that he was going to finish out his term. But when Democrats found out that Joey Carabetta III was coming back, if anyone knows, Joey Carabetta was a councilman in 2015 through 2019, where he decided he wasn't going to run again, and he went about starting his own business. He ended up him and his brother started opening up their own business, which is the J&J dumpsters. And they'd have the tree. Now they have the tree company now. So he's built his company up to where he needs to be, where now he wants to get back into helping the community out, which is why he decided to run for city council again. He's all about the public safety and everything that's going on with the police department and what the council's doing to the police department. It got him to get up and say enough is enough, and he is back. He is running in Area 2 again. Obviously, Democrats knew there's no one they had on their bench that could beat him. So they begged and cried, and LaRue Graham, of course, as always, does as the party tells him, and he is running again. But he doesn't want to be there. So I don't know why he's running, and I don't know why the people would support someone who just doesn't want to be there. So I think he should just go about what he was going to do and be done. But nonetheless, he's here. Then we have Area 3. And then you have Minority Leader Dan Bernay, and he's up against a woman, Vanessa. I couldn't find her last name. I just saw it as Vanessa, and I can't find anything about her. So I'm doing my research on her. I do not know who she is. I don't know, Craig, if you know who she is, if you have her full name. Hopefully we'll get her on, get a feel of what she's all about. And then you have Area 4, which we're going to skip. We're going to skip Area 4 because I want to talk about that one a little bit more in depth. So then we have At Large. And at large, we have Ray Arlett, who is a current police officer in the city of Meriden. He is also on the Board of Education. He is an absolutely tremendous individual all the way around. And I think he is a strong candidate for an at-large position. And then you have Dan Zabrowski, which if you follow Meriden politics, you know who the hell Dan Zabrowski is. He is not one of those quiet individuals that sit on the sidelines. He is kind of like myself, where you know where he stands on every issue. You know where he stands. He may be a little brash at some time, but that's his passion. His passion is the public, is the citizens of this city, making sure that everybody's on the same page and making sure they're not being taken advantage of. And I think that's phenomenal. I love that. So, and he made a very strong showing 2 years ago. Made a very strong showing. Or was it 4 years? Maybe 4 years ago. I can't remember when he ran that last. But again, we have two very, very, very strong candidates. And they're going up against Chad Cardillo, who took over for Lowell. And then we have Bruce Fontanella, who, again, is a popular councilman. But lately, he's been very, very wishy-washy on where he stands on things. And some of the votes that he's taken, leave you to guess, where is he going? Because he used to be very moderate, I would even say he was more right, because he was a Republican at one time. But now, I'm looking at these votes he's taking and these questions he's asking, and it just blows my mind. It's like, where are you coming from? Where the old Bruce Fontanella go? So that's the question I want to ask him. So that's why I'm hoping he'll come on the show. Once everyone files, we'll get these. We'll try to get him on. But Bruce Fontanella, I'm dying to know what his train of thought is and where he sees this council going, and where he sees a lot of these issues. Because to me, in the future, I think Bruce Fontanella is going to be probably the most important councilman out of everybody. Because if it's a tied council 6-6, or if it's a 7-5 one way or another, I think Bruce is always came across to me as someone who used common sense and really asked the good questions. But again, lately he's been worrying me. So I really would love to sit down with him and get a feeling of where he's at and how he's seeing things. Is he the way he is now because the council's so far left, and because maybe they're so deathly afraid of the leadership of the Democratic Party now with Councilwoman Jelks running the show? Because I said the same thing with Deputy Mayor Cardona. First, I don't know how the Democratic caucus did not put Mr. Cardona as the majority leader. I don't know how they came up with Sonia Jelks. So that's another question I would love to find out the answer to, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. I would have thought that naturally it would have been the deputy mayor that would have taken over the majority leader spot. But obviously that was not the case. And I don't know. So we'll see. And then we have the mayor's race, and there you have the current mayor, Kevin Scarpati, and who's, again, he runs as unaffiliated, but takes the endorsement of the Democrats, which we'll get into, because he said there were a couple interesting things that he said in the Record Journal that kind of put everything back into perspective for me on where he really is. And again, I think Kevin, while I like him personally, I think he's an opportunist. And I think when he left the Republican Party and he went unaffiliated, took the Democrat nomination, he saw an opportunity to become mayor and he took it. That's what happened. And now he plays this game of, well, I'm an unaffiliated, but I'm going to take the nomination of the Democrats. And then goes during his speech and says, well, we're doing such a fine job here in the city. We want to continue with the path we're on. It's like, what the frig are you talking about? How can you be happy with what's going on? How can anybody in this city be happy with what's going on? You have the council calling 68% of the city racist. You have a council telling the police department that they are racist and that they have a serious issue with police brutality, which, again, no facts back that up. We have downtown in disarray. You have a flooding down there. You have no businesses down there. As fast as they open, they close. Still, 24 Colony is friggin' empty. But we want to keep on the path we're on. It sounds so much like a Democrat. And then on the off years, Kevin, Mr. Scarpati, he campaigns for Democrats. He stands there at the polls for Democrats. So just turn around and just make yourself a friggin' D and call it a day. I mean, does anyone really believe the nonsense that he's a U? He's not he may be unaffiliated, but he's a Democrat. Just say it. I would respect people more if they just were honest with each other and said, no, I'm a Democrat. Listen, I didn't get what I wanted. The Democrats gave me the mayor. I think Democrats should be more pissed at anybody than anybody because they keep giving it to him. But he says he can't wait to work with all of them. You can't wait to work with all them? Really? I can't wait to see them out of there. And he is running against Elaine Cariotti, who, again, if you don't know who she is, you should go look up on her page. Like I said, please, if anyone has their Facebook page, their Facebook campaign pages, make sure you post it in the link there in the message. If you have not been to their pages, make sure you get to their pages and start liking them, and make sure you see where they're at. We had Elaine on here on Thursday, so if you did not get an opportunity to see that interview, by all means, go back to the previous show and watch it. She's a tremendous candidate. She has great leadership skills. She's a hell of a friggin' ambassador for the Republican Party, and I think she's going to be a tremendous ambassador for the city as a whole. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what the mayorship is in the city of Meriden. Most people need to recognize that the mayor in the city of Meriden has no power. Really has no power. It does have some, but it is mostly a ceremonial spot. They really are the ambassador. They're supposed to be able to highlight the greatness of Meriden. Now, over the years, the council likes to use them as a shield. They use them as a shield. And I think that's why they give it to, that's why I truly believe that's why they give Kevin the endorsement every 2 years, because he acts like a good shield. When they screw up in the council, most people in the city don't realize that the mayor had nothing to do with it, and they start bashing the mayor. And the mayor takes it. And I'll tell you, Kevin takes it like a champ. And it's one of his pros. If you're a Democrat in this city, you love Kevin, because every time the city council screws up, which is Democrats, everybody sits there and goes on Facebook, goes on social media, and blames the mayor, when he had nothing to do with it. But he takes it like a champ. He knows his role. That's his role. If you didn't have him there, and a prime example is when Manny was there, every time they made a bad decision, they didn't have Mike Rohde to sit there and throw it and fall back on, to throw shade. Manny was calling them out on it, which is why they hated Manny so much. So I love this matchup. I think Elaine is a strong candidate. I think she's going to impress a lot of people in this city. And if you do not know her yet, you certainly will know her within the next month or so. She's a business owner in the city of Meriden. She does tremendous things in the community with different organizations. Listen, I think this is going to be a great race. I think the Democrats, are a little nervous about this race just because of the fact that they now have to spend money on her to run against her. And that's really going to be the true case. That's going to be where really we're going to find out how much the Democrats actually like Kevin. Because right now, Republicans are sitting on about 20,000. Democrats are sitting on about 3,400. Campaigns are expensive. When the real last challenge to Kevin was when Manny ran for re-election, they spent each about $17,000 each. Can Kevin sit there and earn and raise that kind of money? Elaine's already proven. Listen, Elaine is a friggin' master. I have been so impressed. She is a master at campaigning and fundraising. I don't know how she does it. She thinks outside the box, which is another great plus for being a mayor. And she has a connection with people, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So it's gonna be a very interesting race, because again, no disrespect to Kevin is a very charismatic person. Also, people love him. You know, if people who have been at the Y for years know who Kevin is. Kevin was one of the first people I met when I came to Meriden because Joseph was doing stuff with the Y. So, don't get me wrong. Kevin is a fine human being, but I think when it comes to running this city, I think we need a fresh face. And I'm so super excited to have Elaine running. We had her on. I'll have Kevin on too. I have no ill feeling towards Kevin. I think Kevin's a great guy personally. So I think our politics just have really differed over the last couple of years, where I think he finds himself needing to go more left to stay in favor with Democrats, who he needs to get on the ticket every 2 years. So, but we'll chat with Kevin hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so, once things get it moving. But I think that's going to be a terrific race. I can't wait to watch it. I think you're going to see two different points of view, and we'll sit there and follow on what they're saying. And then I want to switch back to Area 4, because Area 4, I've been doing some thinking on it. You know, I announced who was running back on Thursday, but I've been hesitant to comment on how I feel about it. So is Bob Williams running, who again is a tremendous candidate, huge for public safety. And again, it blows my mind that every time he runs, voting in Area 4 goes up. It just blows my mind that a person can literally bring people out on their own to vote for them. Where you notice again, I'm a numbers guy, so I look at the numbers year after year after year, and they're usually pretty consistent. But for some reason, when Bob Williams is on the ticket, Area 4 jumps up at least almost 10%. It's just absolutely phenomenal to me. And it just shows you how well he connects with the people of that area and how much people actually love him. And they should. They should, because he's a great guy. He does tremendous things for the city. So, and he's running against Ken Morgan. Now, Ken Morgan is the current fire chief for the city of Meriden. And this is where I have an issue. And I didn't want to jump into it because I had just found out who was running on Thursday. And I wanted to think about it, on how I felt about it. Because you now have a department head running for city council. Now, if anyone remembers, Ken Morgan was also put in the place as acting city manager when Guy Scaife was fired. So Ken Morgan and then he wanted to do both of his jobs. He wanted to be city manager and he wanted to run the fire department. And I was the first person to jump up and say, absolutely friggin' not. Absolutely friggin' not can you do that. You're not going to run the city and run one of the departments. And that's where I'm facing myself. That's why I'm looking at it now. Where I'm split on it because, listen, is it his right to run? It is. It is his right to run. But is it right, as a city department head, is it right for you to run? Now, I understand they have nobody else. Listen, the Democrats, and I said this on Thursday, we're in a very unique position because the roles are reversed this year. Where Republicans have all the strength in the candidates, Republicans have all the money, where Democrats normally have those positions. And now the Democrats find themselves with nobody on the bench and no money. So they're desperate to grab candidates that are well known in the city. And they're desperate. And why Ken Morgan is running. As a department head, how can you vote on anything? On anything. It would all be a conflict of interest. On the budget. You can't vote on the budget. Your department is in it. Anything on the budget. You can't vote on anything that has to do with the fire department. There are so many conflicts of interest with Ken Morgan running as a city councilor. I tell you what, the RJ better be on top of this year. And they need to ask the tough questions. I'm going to try to get Ken Morgan on. Listen, I was the first one. I know Ken Morgan's wife absolutely despises me, but that's okay because I was the first one to question. No, you can't do that. And she flipped out at city council one time. She flipped out on me in the hallway. You want to talk about a loose cannon? Because I criticized her husband? What, because I questioned? You haven't seen nothing yet. I'm going to question. I don't mind being hated. I don't mind being the center of attacks. No problem. But I'm still going to ask my questions. But it's just unbelievable to me. I just don't see how he thinks he could be effective as a councilman and still run his department efficiently and effectively. And absolutely, Lisa, I think that was good. You're actually beating me. You're actually beating me to my next question. Is he going to resign if he wins? Because if he does win, I think he does need to resign from the fire department. And he has enough years in, he can. He can resign. So again, I've been thinking about this over the last 3 or 4 days about how I felt on it. Because like I said, normally I don't ever want to stop anyone from voicing their opinion, which again, he has a right to his opinion and he has the right to run. That is no discussion about that. My whole dilemma comes from he is a department head right now, and therefore should he be running? And if he does win, what happens after that? And I think those are the questions that need to be asked to him. If he wins, is he going to resign? Because there's no way you could actually vote on basically anything going on in the city. And therefore, it's just pointless on why you would run to begin with. Unless your only job was to try to take a seat back. Which again, I don't think he could beat Bob Williams anyways. But I never say never. And I never take anything for granted. I don't take anything for granted. Listen, I think that Republicans have much stronger candidates this year than any Democrat. I don't think there's a single Democrat in any of these races that are better than their Republican counterparts. And if someone believes otherwise, I would love to hear why. And you can always do that by giving us a call, 203-679-9610. If you think that there are better choices, please let me know. And yeah, I know you guys are talking, those meetings need to get back live. There is no reason why city council meetings should not be back live already. Every other meeting is. Planning is, pension is, Board of Ed, they're meeting live. So there's no reason why that everyone should not be meeting in person again. But I can tell you why, because they don't want you seeing what they're doing. Right now, they could do everything behind the scenes, and half the time when they're on the Zoom or whatever it is, platform they use, you don't know what half of them are doing. Tomasetti is still missing in action. I'm telling you, I'm gonna start whipping out with the friggin' with the milk cartons. Does anyone know where Nicole Tomasetti is? She's been MIA. She's been MIA for quite a while now. And I haven't heard anything about where she is or what she's doing. But again, this is the reason why I think most of these people don't want to come back to in live meetings. and they're not being held accountable for it. And we can sit here and scream it to the rooftops, but obviously no one seems to be paying attention or caring. So it's very strange. But so those are the races we have this year. I know. I know right now. I hear her, even though she's not saying anything, and I can't see her. I'm hearing Elaine tell me right now, make sure you mention Wednesday morning. So I'm going to mention it now so that she doesn't text me later and yell at me. Wednesday morning, 8 to 10 at the downtown coffee shop. It is meet the candidate, and you could go there and meet the mayoral candidate for the Republican side, Elaine Cariotti. She will be there from 8 to 10. So, and that's at the downtown coffee shop on West Main Street. It's across from the police department. Did she really? Danny, thank you. Thomas said he showed up for the use of force in the last council meeting. Wow. She must have not have said anything. That's why you never saw her. But hey, welcome back. Tell her welcome back. It's unbelievable. Did she say where she's been? Anyone know where she's been for the last 6 weeks before? But so go down, visit. Not only are you going to get to meet Elaine Cariotti, who's running for mayor, you'll be able to go and have some of the best breakfast you're going to have anywhere in Meriden. So Tina does a terrific job down there. I'm like I said, I'm there like 4 or 5 times a week. I will be there again tomorrow morning. But they make the best omelets I've had in a while. French toast is pretty good too, and my crispy bacon. And they make the best. She makes the best chocolate milk, which I'm a huge fan. So, if you haven't been down to the downtown coffee shop, make sure you go down there. It is absolutely phenomenal. You will not regret it, and you can come back and thank me next week. But also, you get, like I said, Wednesday's extra special. And if you put mustard on that watermelon one more time, and don't ever do that in front of me, you will be able to walk out of there. Or that means you might have to fight outside. Never disrespect watermelon, and definitely don't disrespect it by putting mustard on it. Shove on. So, but again, make sure you go down there, meet Elaine on Wednesday from 8 to 10 a.m. And you can ask her questions and, get a feel for what she stands for. I'm going to try to make it down there. It all depends on my work schedule, on if I can make it. So, and if anyone knows of any other events going on, either side, no matter what parties, I know we got Democrats on here. Just throw them in the message board, and we'll make sure we promote them. Because again, I don't want everyone just looking at the R's or the W's. I want them looking at the D's too, and I want everyone to compare everything. I think there's a stark difference in philosophies, so on where each party stands. And I think it's your job and your duty to ask questions and to be informed. And not just for one candidate, you should be asking it for all candidates. So it's going to be a very interesting election year. I think as things start to build steam, all of our candidates should be filing their paperwork this week coming up. So once that they are filed and they are official, then we will try to grab them onto the show and let you guys have your first crack at asking them questions. Excuse me. But I think it's going to be a tremendous year, and I see some big changes coming. At least I hope so. I think the city needs it. I think one of the campaign slogans was perfectly right. Fresh face, fresh start, I think is desperately needed in this city. I've been saying that for years, but hopefully we'll get it this year. But until we meet again on Thursday, we'll discuss a lot more of what's going on up at the State House. Well, I want to check out some of the local races around other cities that might pop out at us. So, I know not everyone here is from Meriden. So if you have a race in your city or town that you want to talk about, just let me know. You can email me. I have a ton of questions that have been coming in on all sorts of topics. I'll try to touch on some of those on Thursday. There's some quite interesting ones regarding the mall, believe it or not, and what the future of the mall has in store. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of changes over at the mall. So with some of the inhabitants that are going to be moving in, mostly the medical people that are taking over the Macy's building. So we'll talk about that more in depth. There's a lot of questions about it. So we'll go into that stuff. And we'll do that on Thursday. But as of tonight, like I said, we have some tremendous races. But again, it's on you guys. It's on each and every one of you out there to make sure you're spreading the word and making sure that, you know, these candidates are getting the exposure they need, and that everybody's staying involved and up to date. So until then, until Thursday, as always, I love you guys. I love this tremendous city of ours. And of course, I love this amazing country of ours. So until then, God bless you and God bless the great United States of America. I will see you guys on Thursday. Good night. Love you all. I'll talk to you.
And the million faces born together, made for elevation. And the soldier won't surrender faith. It's like a fire that never bursts to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath. When you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping in the shadows could be making history.